Hi, Scorpio. Welcome to a special reading that is called Three of Swords Tarot Spread. And the subtitle is For Delving into a Heartbreak. This was created, I presume, by somebody who goes by @Lightwands on Instagram. So if you're interested in her tarot stuff and other stuff, you can check her out on Instagram, and she has a YouTube channel too, but I don't know what that is. Okay. This deck, by the way, is the Light Sears tarot deck. I'm really digging it. And I hope that you do too. I like the diversity of images, and I also just like the artwork. I think that it's, very nice, and it's, faithful to Rider-Waite, which is always good. It's not something that's really out there. She has it like this is the heart, and then this is the other card. I'm just going to go like this. Or maybe, yeah, because I want you to see all the cards. So this is the last card. That's better for what I'm dealing with. Okay. The first card is what caused the heartbreak. Six of Cups. Now, heartbreak can be that you felt like you had to break up with the person. Doesn't mean that they did it to you. Now, this is very interesting because I made a comment on a former video about the Six of Cups being connected to Cancer. And somebody wrote to me and said it's Scorpio, that it's your sign. So I'm sure the controversy will continue. I like to think of Scorpio Cancer, because you see even here they have like the dog, and they have the kid with the dog, and this is a card of children, but it's also a card of nostalgia, and that to me totally goes along with Cancer in the fourth house. So the typical things that could be about what caused the heartbreak. It could be simply something of one person wanting children and one person not wanting children, and not being able to reach a common ground. Could be that not being able to conceive children, even though, in a general sort of way, not being able to conceive children, and yet the other person not wanting to adopt children, or wanting a biological child of their own. With the Six of Cups being a card of the soulmate, it could be that even if the other person cheated on you, broke up with you, Scorpio, it could be that you never really put in your all. Maybe this relationship was a rebound relationship because the person that you really love, maybe the one that got away, you cannot be with right now, or you were not with that person when that maybe your beloved, if you consider them a twin flame or what have you, they were with somebody else, and so you just, as a rebound got with somebody, and you never really felt love for this person. Maybe you felt love in a very general sense, but not that special kind of love. And so eventually the other person sensed it and drifted apart from you. So it could be like all kinds of things. The second position is what is unable to be seen about the heartbreak. So what is beneath the surface? Maybe what is being hidden, what you're in denial about. Queen of Wands. And this is a card of a person, like if I'm, most of the people watching this, although, are women, I was going to say, although I'm getting more men, so hi men. Hi sailor. I love the fact that I'm getting more men. But this is a card of the career woman. So this could work, again, either way. You know, if you're somebody who is a woman who, a Scorpio woman who is at the time where you are kind of at a crossroads where maybe you got married or coupled with somebody in a serious way, and it's that time when it's like, okay, do we have children? And you can't really admit to that other person nor yourself that you don't want children, because that just seems like beyond the pale. And there are other signs that a woman, you know, could have, especially the masculine signs, the air signs and the fire signs, who could state that without having any kind of guilt or feeling like that makes them a bad person. But for a Scorpio individual woman in particular, you may be filled with shame to have that thought in your head, to have those feelings, and you just feel like you cannot utter that. And you may even have tucked it away somewhere and you don't even acknowledge it on a conscious level. Scorpio's a very, to me, a complicated sign. Maybe because, you know, Mars is one of the rulers, and Mars is pretty aggressive and masculine, and this is a feminine sign. But the other ruler is Pluto. You know, you got two planets that aren't warm and fuzzy. So it can make Scorpios kind of like tricky, because you tend to, you know, kind of hold your cards close to the vest, pardon the pun. You don't like to really necessarily, even if you know something, you might not want to divulge it and be kind of secretive about it, because you feel it's more powerful to keep it inside. But I really think that in this particular case, this is something that you might be in denial that you really feel. And you might be kind of mixed about it. It's not like 100% for or against. Another thing that, you know, the Queen of Wands is like a career woman, so the other person may feel resentful. Maybe they told you, oh, no, that's okay. And or even if you have children with this person, they may have wanted you to stay home with the child. Now, with the shutdown that has occurred and a lot of people being forced to stay at home, they may have discovered that, hey, you know, I kind of like this traditional Leave It to Beaver type of, setup. And then you have this situation where things start to open up again and things go back to normal, and you have one person, maybe the man is like, wait a second, you've been doing such a great job, why do you want to do this? And then there's the conflict, so it can work that way. Okay, so the third position is, what was the lesson learned? And we have here the Tower. Oh, wow, I didn't even notice that this was a Tower. I wonder if I've ever gotten this one before. You know what I like about this deck? Everything, they kind of make it like not so scary and negative. Look, they got butterflies. I don't know what that is, a squirrel. I can't tell. But they do have the lightning. See, they do use certain imagery that is reminiscent of Rider-Waite. And by the way, tonight was the first time when I read that somebody referred to Rider-Waite Smith, you know, acknowledging Pamela Coleman Smith, who did the Rider-Waite illustrations. And I think it was the person who created this spread who referred to that deck as that. So, you know, my props to her, because she's the one who brought that all to life. So the lesson learned, I think for Scorpio, whenever this kind of situation arises, like for instance, if somebody, let's say somebody cheats and maybe you thought you had an idyllic relationship and you weren't really prepared for this kind of scenario. A lot of times with Scorpio, there is always that sense of something looming that you're afraid of, like, oh my God, what if this happens? What if that happens with the other person? And being a little bit, I never know if it's distrustful or mistrustful or both, but you get the gist. Being suspicious, having trust issues. And the thing is that the Tower is going to happen regardless. As long as there are things that are not spoken between two people, if there's some kind of a, I would call it, lack of communication or something along those lines, these things don't go away. They build up. And if you think that you can just marry somebody else, get with somebody else, and forget about somebody that you really cared about, it doesn't go away. And it's just like little by little in the background. And then all of a sudden, all hell breaks loose. So the point being that you always have to check in with yourself and you have to be honest with yourself. The 8th house that Scorpio rules is all about the shadow. And that's the irony of it, is that Scorpios are very perceptive of other people's stuff. Their secrets, their negative, their shame, all those things, their shadow. But are they that aware of their own shadow? Sometimes yes, and sometimes maybe not. And that's when it festers, and then it kind of blows up in your face. And so you can't really be afraid of the Tower moment, but by the same token, you have to live your life so that you don't have many of them, where you're always like being honest with somebody else. You're not trying to have the upper hand, so to speak, which is kind of a false sense of power. And the last card is, what is the first step that is needed to, get to healing? And we have the 9 of Wands. This is a cool card too. This is beautiful. Don't you love these colors? I love her blouse. I think this is such a freaking cool deck. I really do. And you know what I love too is that flame on the wands, because that is really to me, that's your eternal flame that's inside of you that never dies. The individual self, the wands relating to the independence, the autonomy, the individuality of a person, the fire signs. So the first step to healing is the 9 of Wands is about boundaries. And it can be as simple as, if you have separated from somebody, let's say you're married and you've separated from them, that you, if the other person especially, it doesn't really matter. You may, let's say the other person had an affair and you were the one who left, who said, I want to split up. And then the other person starts to really come after you to try to make up for it. You may feel so flattered, so wanted again, that you kind of melt and you forgive them, and then, but there are still unresolved things, so you kind of go back and forth. This would be saying, no, we need to take a moratorium. Let's take 3 months off, and you do you, I do me, and then we see where we're at. Things like that, where you're kind of creating your own space for yourself and what you're willing to tolerate and what you're not willing to tolerate, but that you're not allowing that desire for everything to go back to normal to kind of overshadow the truth of the situation. Because with the Tower, you're looking at something that might be very dramatic, something that happened that really shook you to your core. And that's another thing too, with all these eclipses that we had so far this year, that might have been part of that with you and might be part of the story. So, but just in general with the wands, it's about, empowering yourself. But with this particular card, the number 9 reflects that sense of the person in a, I would say even in solitude. I'm going to look in my little booklet that goes along with this to see if there's any additional keywords that they would say, because I always see this card as setting boundaries, but that's not as sexy as I had hoped, so I want to see if there's anything else here. Determination, resilience, defiance, a last defense, the final push, excitement for what's to come, finding motivation in the face of difficulties. And the affirmation for this may be something that you can look at for the first step of healing. I push beyond my own perceived limitations and I remain open and trusting as I do. And this is, again, that's how I associate it with the wands, which is about that freedom that comes from transcending limitations and really standing on your own 2 feet. And you may have felt like you were pushed out of a nest or something, that you didn't want to be in this position, but however you got there, even if it's outside of your comfort zone, that's important. So anyway, I hope that this resonated, or at least it was entertaining, interesting. If you'd like a personal reading, please check the link below. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.